and so little is certainly not an inaccurate statement. There's maybe 20 books in one of these little boxes.
Depends on how big they are. And I'm on the website now for Little Free Library, and they started up in 2009.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
It would not have existed while you were living in Florida.
Interesting. I didn't know it was like a brand. I just thought it was a thing that people, they do.
Nope. So it's a thing, and in order to call your small little
your box,
bird feeder box that houses libraries, in order to call it a Little Free Library, you have to jump through some hoops and hurdles with this organization.
So it's like a certification of some
right.
sort.
So you could have something that is a free library that's little, but it would not be a little free library, and it would not be able to be on the map at littlefreelibrary.org.
Ah, they have a map. All right. So Connor Friedersdorf over at theatlantic.com reports 3 years ago, the Los Angeles Times published a feel-good story on the Little Free Library movement. The idea is simple. A book lover puts a box or shelf or crate of books in their front yard. Neighbors browse, take one, and return later with a replacement. A 76-year-old in Sherman Oaks, California, felt that his little library, roughly the size of a dollhouse, quote, turned strangers into friends and sometimes impersonal neighborhood into a community. The reporter observed that the man knew he was onto something, quote, when a 9-year-old boy knocked on his door one morning to say how much he liked the little library. He went on to explain, saying, quote, I met more neighbors in the first 3 weeks than in the previous 30 years. Now, that's a pretty ringing endorsement of this idea.
Yes.
Getting people to share and experience different books, I think it's pretty cool. Since 2009, when a Wisconsin man built a Little Free Library to honor his late mother, who loved books, copycats inspired by his example have put thousands of Little Free Libraries all over the U.S. and beyond. Many are displayed on the online map that you referenced, Darryl, which happens to be at littlefreelibrary.org. In Venice, where I live, I know of at least 3 Little Free Libraries and have witnessed chance encounters where folks in the neighborhood will chat about a book. I wish I was writing merely to extol this trend. Alas, a subset of Americans are determined to regulate every last aspect of community life. Due to selection bias, they are overrepresented among local politicians and bureaucrats, and so they have power, despite their small-mindedness, inflexibility, and lack of common sense, so extreme that they've taken to cracking down on Little Free Libraries, of all things.
Can we just, please ask the petty tyrants to stop banning things and to stop trying to regulate things?
I got to know what they are so concerned with the Little Free Library. Are they worried that it's going to somehow harm people? What is the excuse to go after the Little Free Libraries?
My guess is it's probably going to be the same thing that in San Francisco somebody had set up a barter swap sort of thing, and the city came after them and said, you're operating an illegal yard sale. And they said, but we're not selling anything. It's a bartered, so people can take something and leave something. There's no prices. Yes, but people can come and leave with something, and so therefore yard sale.
Therefore, we're going to need some money out of you.
Right.
If you want to continue this.
So I'm wondering, because this also from California, I'm wondering if they're trying to say illegal yard sale.
Well, don't worry. It's not just California.
Or you built one of these without a permit. It doesn't matter that it's not big enough for anything to actually live in.
Maybe there's a legal definition of library, and so therefore you can't call it a library unless you've got, you said, a building permit or something like that. But it's not just California, Darryl. Last summer in Kansas, a 9-year-old was loving his Little Free Library until at least 2 residents proved that some people will complain about anything, no matter how harmless, and city officials pushed the boundaries of literal-mindedness. Quote, the Leawood City Council said it had received a couple of complaints about Spencer Collins' Little Free Library. They dubbed it an illegal detached structure.
What?
And told the Collins they would face a fine if they didn't remove the Little Free Library from their yard by June 19th. We'll talk to you more about this here because there's more to the story. This is not just Kansas where this is going on. It could be a town near you. First, though, let's go to Dan. He's in California, and you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl. Hello, Dan.
Ian, Darryl, afternoon. So, I'm calling about the story you did a few days ago about the open-air urinals in San Francisco. And
yeah, do me a favor, back off your phone a little bit. I'm sorry, we're having some trouble on the network side. It's a little overdriven.
Okay. How about now? Better?
A little, maybe. Go ahead. So, open-air urinals in San Francisco. Yeah, we talked about that.
All right. So you guys were complaining about the amount of the urinal and that it was $15,000.
Right, for basically a piece of concrete that leads to a drain.
I was not on that night. This is the first I'm hearing about open-air urinals.
There's a park in San Francisco. I don't know if there's more than one of these, but there's at least one at the park in question. I believe it's Dolores Park. And basically, it's like a half moon or maybe more of like a horseshoe-shaped piece of concrete that doesn't really go up very high. It's something you would step into. There's like a fence that is also sort of horseshoed around it with a banner of some sort blocking most view of what's going on in this little bathroom thing. And so it's intended for men to urinate out in the open. That's what it is.
That's what it is. And I want to explain, and I fully support this. As a Bay Area resident, I visit San Francisco all the time. I was most recently up there for 420. And it's notorious San Francisco has a which I don't have a problem with, drug problem and a homeless problem. If they were to enclose that in, it would just become a drug den, basically, where people would go to shoot up and do whatever. So they have to leave it open air. And the reason it costs $15,000, I was laughing at your story because I'm listening to this podcast right now about how you're talking about the government workers in New Mexico who make $7,000 for the 2-month session.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing at that because that's $20 an hour. I'm like, in the Bay Area, $20 an hour, you couldn't afford to live with your parents at $20 an hour here. My rent in my house, which is a 2-bedroom house, is $3,000.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And that's rent. Yeah, I'm not buying that house. I'm renting that house. I make, not to brag, and this is not bragging. I'm embarrassed by this, but I make $27 an hour. Mm-hmm. That's nothing here. I have to live with a roommate to support myself.
Right.
I drive an old junky car.
But wait a minute, before you go on, Dan, about this open air urinal, the people who are against the urinal would argue that, well, there are already bathrooms at Dolores Park, so as far as like junkies getting high and closing themselves up in the urinal, they could already do that in theory in the park bathrooms. So, I mean,
right.
Go ahead.
And I have a daughter who I would take to the park, but I would never. I can't go in there and leave her. She's 8. I can't go into the bathroom and leave her at the park unattended. But I need to go to the restroom, or I wouldn't send her into the bathroom. I would go with her. I would never use one of those enclosed bathrooms because exactly that. People are in there doing drugs. No one's doing drugs in the open air one because they want some secludedness.
Definitely true.
Also,
if you've got an also, hang on. We can bring it back, Dan. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Dan says he's in favor of the open-air bathrooms that are now in San Francisco, at least one of them. Apparently, the official term for it is French. It's pissoir. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Join us here on Free Talk Live.
My golden retriever, Sundance, is a lot more playful now. She has more pep and energy than I've seen in years.
Tons of energy. Petey is having fun again. He's got a shiny coat and a good healthy weight.
Molly's been having 4 scoops a day. She pushes her little bowl all the way across the room, emptying every last single crumb. She has slimmed down and gotten this puppy look.
She's got life. She's got energy. She's got stuff to give.
We get asked all the time when we're at shows, how do you get your dog so healthy and shiny and glossy?
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Family will be on Dinovite for the rest of his life.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dinovite. If it's working, don't quit.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Do you have dry hands or itchy, peeling skin? Are your cracked feet in need of a makeover for sandal season? Hi, my name is Diane Cook, the creator of Bee Spa Hand and Foot Cream. Bee Spa is all natural, 16% beeswax, marigold extract, and other essential oils and nutrients. B-Spa is great for exceptionally dry hands and feet, but B-Spa can be used anywhere on the body. I am sure you will see a difference overnight. B-Spa is the only cream you will ever need. The convenient 2.5-ounce size jar travels nicely, and a little goes a long way. B-Spa hand and foot cream costs $29.99. Use promotion code 101 for free shipping. Order B-Spa hand and foot cream today at bspa.com. That's BEESPA.com. That's BEESPA.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're just a matter of days away from Mother's Day at this point, but it's not too late for you to get your order in over at Sherry's Berries. Go to berries.com, click the microphone in the top right, type in code FTL, like Free Talk Live, and you'll get Sherry's Berries, freshly dipped strawberries, starting at just $19.99 plus shipping, or double the berries for just $10 more. Look, your mom is unique, so give her a gift that is as unique as she is. And if mom's never had Sherry's Berries before, she's going to love it. And for whatever reason, if she doesn't, customer satisfaction is always guaranteed, or your money back. So really, you got nothing to lose here. We've had Sherry's Berries multiple times here in the Free Talk Live studios, and they are always a smash hit with anyone that tries them. So again, Mother's Day coming up quickly. Go to berries.com, BERRIES.com, and then click the microphone on the top right. Use code FTL. Don't forget to double the berries for just $10 more. If you don't double the berries, well, don't say I didn't tell you, all right, because you're going to want to have more berries. Berries.com, code FTL, with the microphone in the top right. Let's continue here. Don dropped off the line in California. We'll get back into the Little Free Library. Apparently, it's a controversy in some places. These tiny little boxes that house, a few dozen books maybe, maximum, to allow people to take one and leave one. And it's just kind of this community building thing, and it's really cool. But first, we're going to go to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl.
Yes, we all heard about this Manhattan Project, and it was actually based and operated out of White Sands, New Mexico. And I think that was the only secret nuclear bomb that just blew up just all of a sudden. And the people that saw it in the 1940s, they thought the world was ending and it was the second coming of Jesus. And have I convinced you guys to come out here now?
Why do you want to wait? Why would
what?
Why would talking about nuclear explosions convince people to come to New Mexico?
No, I'm just being comical. There was a white sand where they blew up the nuclear bomb and filmed all the hoax fake lunar landing. I'm just being comical with you. I'm just being silly.
Comical, silly. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I mean, you kind of.
I'm not serious.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, last time you called in, you said that it was dangerous, or one of the more recent times you called in, you said it was dangerous to be in New Mexico because everyone's getting hit by cars. But it turns out you were wrong about that. That New Mexico isn't even in the top 10 of most dangerous.
I don't know what car, but I'm not going to argue with you. But what I want to say is, don't you think New Mexico was like always the top picks for all these top government secret projects?
I have no idea. I don't pay attention to where secret projects go on because I imagine they wouldn't tell you where their secret projects are going on unless it's decades later, in which case then those secrets would be declassified. But isn't the Area 51, that's New Mexico, isn't it? Yeah, that is.
No, that's Nevada.
Oh, that's Nevada.
But most of the reasons that they pick these places out west is because they're so sparsely populated.
Gotcha.
That's right. It's not like here on the East Coast, you can't go, half a mile without going past somebody's house. There's places in New Mexico, Arizona, parts of Colorado, Utah, and Nevada where you can drive 10 miles without seeing anything that even resembles civilization.
Right. And do you know who settled here? It was the Mormons that were persecuted, the Native Americans, reservations were here, and all of the Billy the Kid and all the fugitives were out here. They would kill somebody in New York. They would run into New Mexico, and they stopped looking for them. And like you said, that we just became a state 1912. We're just barely 4 years past 100 years. So we're like the last place to become a state. And this is
except for Hawaii and Alaska.
Oh, really? Yeah, we're one of the last place, and this is a place for all the top secret military, but it's not so
secret. All right, Sarah,
now.
thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So if you want to get abducted by the military, then go to New Mexico. Sounds like a wonderful place. Woohoo! Now, I got no problem with New Mexico. I'm just teasing Sarah. She's one of our newest chronic callers here on Free Talk Live and seems to be confused between promoting New Mexico as a place that's fun to go to and a place that's highly dangerous to go to.
But the danger is what makes it fun.
It could, in the right circumstances. Toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. How many free little free libraries do they have in New Mexico? This is apparently a popular thing these days, started up several years ago, and in some places there's been a crackdown on them. Now, there was something you were going to share about this?
So you had mentioned the one in Leawood, Kansas from a couple of years ago.
Run by a 9-year-old boy.
Spencer Collins, the Spencer's Little Library or Spencer's Little Free Library. And I've actually done some digging to try to find out what happened there, what ultimately wound up happening. And the city of Leawood was claiming that the Little Free Library was an illegal structure because it was detached from the building. And
you need a permit for that, son.
Right. Well, he suggested, what if I run a rope between the house and the library? And, at some point, the city council decided to give a temporary reprieve while they looked at amending the ordinance. And that's the latest news update that I have. But during the city council hearing, where they said that we're going to look at the ordinance, you've got until October 20th of 2014 at least to be able to operate this thing. And the mayor actually gave him some books to put in the Little Free Library. One area man, Wade King, says, "Why do we pay taxes for libraries and have these boxes on our streets? In a blighted area, sure, put them everywhere. We're not a poor area. We don't need them."
A box with books in it is blight, according to this man.
We don't need them. We paid taxes for libraries.
One library is enough.
We got one. That's all we need. We paid taxes for it. We don't need them. Another resident, Wyatt Townley, told the council that she supports the library because they add an element of community that regular libraries do not. She says they're connecting the dots between books and community. Reading is a solitary endeavor, but this makes it about community. It's about neighbors reaching out to neighbors.
Reading's also less popular now than I think that it ever has been. I mean, young people today are less and less. I mean, as far as like reading an actual book, obviously people read things on the internet, but it's not the same. And young people today are dissuaded, I think, from picking up a book and actually reading it. So maybe this could help with that.
Yeah, hopefully so. And it's good to see that, there are people that are supportive of these. Not everybody that showed up at this city council meeting was a grouch. We don't need them. We paid taxes. We don't need them.
This is Kansas. We got enough libraries around here.
We got enough books.
So there's more to the story, though, from theatlantic.com about other little free libraries being under attack. Leawood is just one of several, apparently. We'll continue here. We'll get into it. And you can join us here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Still to come, the Satanists. What are they up to these days? They've always got something up their sleeve. This is Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us and bring up whatever's on your mind. 855-450-3733 or Skype into the show. Skype username here is LRN.FM.
Bad news, Americans. You're probably stockpiling for a disaster all wrong. When the big one comes, you'll need more than that poisonous, oversalted survival food you now see everywhere. There are 3 vital things that your survival food is missing, and it's the first thing to disappear from grocery stores. Go to superfoodradio.com now to see my story of how I nearly died when I was forced to live on a popular survival food. That's superfoodradio.com, and I'll show you how everything you've been told about survival food is dead wrong. Go to superfoodradio.com now.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in toll-free to join us on the air. Here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The crackdown on the Little Free Library. This I would put in the same column as the crackdown on people with gardens in their front yard.
Lemonade stands.
Lemonade stands, yeah, that's the same level of ridiculousness that is being experienced in more than one place around the United States. Appears that there's no problem having it here in our very own Keene, New Hampshire. It seems like it fits in real well here, but in some places there are some grumpy people who just don't like to see a cute little box full of books.
And I'm honestly surprised that nobody's complained about the cute little box of books that exist here in Keene.
Well, who knows if no one's complained. Maybe they have and we just didn't hear about it. Maybe it didn't. Maybe they complained to the city council and it just never made a splash because it never went anywhere. But in other places...
That and it's being operated by the UCC.
Oh, okay.
And it's not being operated by activists. So, like that might be one reason it's not, been a point of contention. But it's also right near the benches that people were getting upset and painting over the rainbow colors. Or at least one person was repeatedly painting over the rainbow colors. And that became contentious, last summer, I believe?
I think you're right about that. Yep. And then they did this cool thing, the UCC Church, encouraging people to come down there and take their picture on the benches. So they're just, regular benches that had been striped with rainbow colors with each wooden slat on the bench.
Right.
And some woman apparently in her 50s or 60s was coming out there and repainting it red at some later time in the evening. Some people witnessed her doing it, but nobody ended up finding out who she actually was, apparently. Scattered stories like these, the attack on Spencer Collins' Little Free Library in Leawood, Kansas, is not the only one. Again, several stories have appeared in various local news outlets. The LA Times followed up last week with a trend story that got things just about right. Quote, crime, homelessness, and crumbling infrastructure are still a problem in almost every part of America, but two cities have recently cracked down on one of the country's biggest problems. Small community libraries where residents can share books. Officials in Los Angeles and Shreveport, Louisiana have told owners of homemade lending libraries that they're in violation of city codes and have asked them to remove or relocate their small book collections. Now, let's clarify. When the news media uses the term ask regarding a government action, it's never asking when the government comes and tells you to do something.
We're just asking you to do it. And here's all of the things that'll happen if you say no.
Right.
But we're asking you.
Yeah, no. It's not an ask when they threaten you with violence if you don't do what they say. And ultimately, that's what happens. They threatened in Spencer Collins was threatened with fines. His parents were threatened with fines if they didn't remove their Little Free Library. And if you don't pay the fine, then at some point they are going to, they might either accrue more fines on top of you, and then they could steal your home from you if you accrue enough of them, or they could possibly put you in a jail cell. So either way,
kill you.
Yeah. Well, that's usually if you don't want to go to the jail cell. If you go voluntarily, if you go without resistance, I guess, not voluntarily. If you go without resistance to the jail cell, you'll probably make it there alive. But if you resist, if you resist, might likely be shot, tased, and maybe killed.
Or choked to death on the sidewalk.
Officials in Los Angeles have told these owners they need to move them, the Little Free Libraries need to move them. Here in Los Angeles, the weather is so lovely that it's hard to muster the energy to be upset about anything, and a lot of people don't even know what municipality they live in, so the defense of Little Free Libraries is mostly being undertaken by the people who have them. Steve Lopez, a local columnist, wrote about one such man, an actor who's refusing to move his little library from a parkway. His column captures the absurdity of using city resources to get rid of it. Quote, "Having written previously about crackdowns on parkway vegetable gardens, I knew the city's argument is you can't do anything that might block emergency vehicle access, obstruct motorists' views, impede pedestrians, or make it hard to open car doors. But the 10-man library at the intersection of a four-way stop does none of those things. And I can't help but point out that a city tree in front of Cook's house on the Parkway Strip has untamed roots that have lifted the sidewalk a few inches, posing a clear and obvious obstruction and tripping hazard. The city pays out millions of dollars in trip and fall settlements every year, and last time I checked, tree trimming was on a 45-year cycle. No joke. But put up a lending library and the city is at your door in a jiffy." Unquote. The column goes on to note that a city spokesman said that if there's no clear obstruction, it might be possible to keep the library where it is if Cook is willing to apply for a permit. And it's possible the city arts funds could be tapped to pay for the permit. Just jump through our hoops, will you? We
jump through
own
the
you.
hoops, and we'll give you taxpayer money to pay the fee, the
permit fee,
to get the permit. But then you've got to fill out this other set of paperwork. Just do busy work,
right? Because it validates them. You know, we are here for a reason. Us government people, we are here. You elected us to tell you what to do, and you can't just refuse to be told what to do. You need to do what we say. Here, we'll even fund you doing what we say, because it will look bad if you just keep getting away with not doing what we say. So it's more it's more in our interest to go ahead and just have you jump through some arbitrary hoops. We'll cover the costs. Maybe we'll cover the costs. Why don't you just start filling out these forms?
How about no?
So let's see. Going on here. This is what conservatives and libertarians mean when they talk about overregulation, disincentivizing, or displacing voluntary activity that benefits people. We've constructed communities where one must obtain prior permission from agents of the state before freely sharing books with one's neighbors. And their proposed solution is to get scarce public art funds to pay for the needless layer of bureaucracy being imposed on the thing already being done for free. The power to require permits is the power to prevent something from ever existing. This lovely movement would never have begun or spread if everyone who wanted to build a little free library recognized a need to apply and pay for a permit. Instead, they did good and asked permission never. Radical libertarians who object to all zoning and building codes are told they're necessary to keep refineries from operating next to daycare centers and to ensure that houses don't fall down in earthquakes or burn up due to faulty wiring. And like most, I favor some zoning laws. This is the author at theatlantic.com, not me. And building codes, he says. One needn't even be a squishy libertarian to object when power ceded to government for such purposes is then used to interfere with a harmless activity to which almost no one objects. But as an aside here, Darryl, do we need zoning to keep refineries from operating next to daycare centers?
No, because I don't know anybody in their right mind that would build a daycare center next to a refinery.
What if the daycare center already existed and they built a refinery next to it?
I don't know anybody that would build a refinery right next to a daycare center.
Well, that's a good answer, but I think another one is Houston, as I understand it, doesn't have these things.
Right.
The 7th largest city or somewhere in the top 10. It's a big city in the United States, and they don't have zoning. Now, apparently some of their suburbs do, but the city itself of Houston does not.
Right.
And so these things can be solved by the marketplace on people's own volition. For instance, it would likely be more expensive. Let's say the daycare center already exists, and nearby it, maybe it's in a strip mall or something like that, because it's probably not a sit-alone, standing-alone daycare center with nothing anywhere nearby. So let's presume there's some development nearby it, which would mean that to build a refinery there, you'd be paying more for the property than you otherwise would if you just built in an industrial kind of area where there's already refinery-type things going on. If you're not on the main, roads in the town like the daycare center might be,
right,
you're not going to pay as much for the property. You're not going to pay as much rent if you're renting,
Well,
etc.
not only that, refineries take up a lot of land.
Yes.
So if you're wanting to I'm going to build my refinery right next to the daycare center to be an a-hole.
Yeah.
You're going to have to buy a lot of people's property to have enough land to build your refinery. That's why I said I don't know anybody that would do that.
Yeah, and it would probably be looked on very poorly by people in the community if someone did attempt to move forward with that.
Right.
So let's let the market decide these things. Unfortunately, for right now, most places do have zoning, but this is what it leads to. You know, it's a nice idea to think that you can keep zoning just to control the basics about building things.
And not only that, you've got places where people will use eminent domain where they go to the city council and say, it's for the public interest that you give us all of this land. You steal the land and give it to us so we can build something.
We'll continue, and you can join us here. There's more about the Little Free Library. There's another attack in Shreveport. We'll tell you about that one. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-941-9483. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-941-9483. That's 1-800-941-9483.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market. The gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
For years, Southwest Airlines has boasted having the most loyal customers in the industry. Now the low-cost carrier is calling on its most frequent customers to finally do something in return for the airline. The company rolled out their new Loyalty Goes Both Ways program in a new ad campaign.
You said you wanted free check bags, and we listened. Now you listen to us.
Southwest's program is part of a new trend of companies not letting their customers exploit them anymore. CEO Gary C. Kelly has gone as far as to record this radio ad, which Southwest started airing nationwide.
Hi, this is Southwest CEO Gary Kelly. If my wife calls asking about me, I need you to lie and say I was with you. Remember all those low fares I gave you.
To any Southwest customers thinking about saying they're too busy to help, Kelly has some harsh words saying, quote, "We're always there for our customers. To anyone who can't do us a solid now and then, f*** you. That's not loyalty, that's freeloading."
This is the Onion News Network.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
The
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. We invite you to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Little free libraries are under attack. Just when you thought the government couldn't get more oppressive and ridiculous, they're going after these tiny little boxes that are just adorable with little glass windows on them and little knobs, and you open it up, and then there's a few books in there, maybe 12, 2 dozen books, 3 dozen max. Or whatever.
Depends on how big they are.
Okay, I guess you're right. I've never seen a big little free library, and we've got a little one here in Keene. There's a bunch of them in New Mexico and in New Hampshire. There's a map there at the Little Free Library. I believe it's .org, where you can go and you can see where your nearest one is. And there's some of them that have been under attack by various different busybodies and governments. That's what the Atlantic.com is reporting on here, and we're sharing with you. But if you want to share your thoughts with us, please do that at 855-450-FREE. I mean, I can't imagine there's actually anyone out there that is so inhuman that they would actually side with the government in these particular situations.
There was the one guy in Leawood, Kansas that said, "We pay taxes for libraries. We don't need these little boxes."
Well, we know those people exist, but whether they would ever call this show to actually defend their attacks on these poor little free libraries, I highly doubt. But if you want to, we'd love to hear from you at 855-450-FREE. Hey, could you use up to $35,000? No need to shop around for loans anymore. LoanUS.com is a convenient online way to connect with a lender based on your unique background and provide you with a loan of up to $35,000. And LoanUS.com works with lenders in all 50 states. Use the loan to pay for emergency expenses, medical bills, debt consolidation, home improvement, large purchases, and even taxes. LoanUS.com connects you with lenders, but it's not a lender or broker and does not make lending or credit decisions. Loans may not be available for residents of some states. APR, loan term, loan amount, and other loan details will vary. See LoanUS.com for more details. As we continue here, there's a little free library that was under attack in Kansas, another one in Los Angeles, and now the Shreveport, Louisiana Little Free Library also under attack. The story here from theatlantic.com. Radical libertarians, they say, radical libertarians who object to all zoning and building codes are told they're necessary to keep refineries from operating next to daycare centers. We already acknowledged why that is BS, because the market likely won't bear that. People are not going to pay, if they want to build a refinery, to build it in a commercial area where there's, big box stores or strip malls, where the property costs will be much higher than if they build it out in the woods or away from things, because you don't really need to have the refinery right there next to the mall in order to get the job done. But in Shreveport, there was a community outcry and some much-needed civil disobedience. Shreveport Times reporting, quote, to protest the shutting down of a little free library on Wilkinson Street, artist Catherine Usher placed a stack of books on a wooden block outside her Dalzell Street home. A sign reading, "Free-range books, take one, leave one," hangs above it. Her action was in response to a notice that a Little Free Library's owners, Ricky and Teresa Edgerton, received from the Metropolitan Planning Commission's Zoning Division, a request that they cease operating it because the book swap violates city zoning law.
And this, again, one of those quote-unquote requests to where if you don't comply, there will be consequences.
If not, they risked further action if the matter were sent to the city attorney. Usher said, and this is the artist, she said, "I did it in solidarity with Ricky, basically telling the Metropolitan Planning Commission to go sod off," unquote. Eventually, a reprieve was granted, and the city is at work on a new zoning ordinance Alexis de Tocqueville would approve. Quote, "I've often admired the extreme skill with which the inhabitants of the United States succeed in proposing a common object for the exertions of a great many men and in inducing them to voluntarily pursue it, he wrote, offering examples including attempts to diffuse books. He posited that the most democratic country on the face of the earth is that in which men have, in our time, carried to the highest perfection the art of pursuing in common the object of their common desire and have applied this new science to the greatest number of purposes. Americans with little free libraries are acting in that venerable tradition. Those exploiting overly broad laws to urge they be torn down are a national disgrace. But it's not just the little free libraries that are under attack. There's all kinds of things that people have done with their own property that some city bureaucrats just decide is not okay. Like having the grass growing a little bit too tall in the front yard, or worse yet, in some communities, actually growing a garden in the front yard is illegal and a violation of various different ordinances. And they've actually threatened families over growing their own food and basically told these people, you have to go to the grocery store to buy your vegetables. Because if you don't plant your vegetables in the backyard where they're permitted to be, then screw you. You basically can't feed yourself.
And I'm honestly surprised that none of these municipalities have yet pulled that, I believe it was a 1937 Supreme Court case out of their bum.
Which one's that?
Where the Supreme Court ruled that a man growing wheat on his own property for his own personal use was interfering with interstate commerce.
Oh, that's right. Because he wasn't selling it.
He was not buying grain that came across state lines, so he was interfering with interstate commerce.
And that's been upheld by the Supreme Court?
I don't think it's ever, in any kind of way. And the way Supreme Court cases are, like, you can't challenge a case and say, we think this ruling was bad. You have to have a very similar law that gets challenged that then goes to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And I don't think there's been anything similar gone to the Supreme Court. So, in essence, there's never been a situation where that ruling would either be overturned or upheld.
Let's go to Laura in Colorado. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Laura.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey there. Can you do me a favor and back off your phone a little bit? I appreciate that.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I didn't know.
Thanks so much.
I guess I just never cease to be amazed anymore at how asinine and ridiculous the American public has become. I can imagine the little child in Kansas. Well, he's learned a lot from this experience, hasn't he? He's learned that everything he's learning in his little civics class in school is just a damn lie. So that part of it is positive, that the kid is learning that, it's not at all what he's being taught in school. Because this is just so ridiculous. It just, I would just love to see an entire neighborhood of people just bring books out right into their front yard, set up a little box, the whole neighborhood, and say, oh, we're just having a little free library swap here in the neighborhood, and be completely disobedient. Because you guys, it's getting to the point where I know that I cannot live in a city with people anymore. I live way, way out on a rural property, okay? Yeah. Because I'll tell you right now, at my age, I'm in my 50s, and I have had so much of it that I probably would violently react to a dumbass. And I mean, just haul off and punch them right in the mouth, because I've just had enough.
Yeah,
I think that's why a lot of people live on rural property, because they're just so fed up with it all.
I think you're absolutely right about that, Laura. Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, and I agree with her idea of civil disobedience. It'd be great if multiple people were participating in putting up free libraries.
I'm on the website right now, and they link over to some plans for building these little free libraries. Mm-hmm. And some of the ones that they have plans for are absolutely amazing. They're
just cute. They're adorable little things.
Right. Well, there's one that they show where it's made out of wood, and it sits on top of a concrete park bench. And so there's a couple spots where it looks like giant armrest, and the little free libraries are hidden inside these giant armrests.
Far out.
Yeah. And then there's another one where it's, this sort of thing. It's a freestanding thing that's got a little roof on it, and you duck down and then stand up inside of the little free library, and all of the books are on the inside.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's pretty creative stuff. So there you go. That's the latest on the attacks on little free libraries. What's next? They're hitting little free libraries, gardens, other, kids' lemonade stands. What is it they could possibly go after next that they haven't yet done?
The Satanist.
Well, tell me about that then.
The story comes from Vice, and Ian, I know how you love a good story about the Satanist.
I just think trolling is fun, and they do a good job with it.
Well, this time, and actually this is
I don't actually believe in
older
Satan.
Story, but it's not the Satanists that are doing anything to provoke the government. It's the government provoking the Satanists.
Where at?
Down in Mississippi.
Oh, boy.
And this comes from
It can't be
Vice.
easy to be a Satanist in Mississippi.
And again, I did not see the date on the article until just now. It's actually about 3 years old. But the police are threatening to arrest Satanists that do pink mass at graves.
Pink mass?
Where they turn dead people gay.
I got to hear more about this.
You try to turn some dead people gay, we're going to throw you in jail.
All right, we'll find out more about it. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And then what's the latest on Satoshi Nakamoto supposedly being revealed? We'll talk about it on Free Talk Live.
Could you use up to $35,000? Whether it's for home improvement, car repairs, paying off taxes, debt consolidation, emergency funds, or any other reason, LoanUS.com can match you with a lender that can offer up to $35,000. Quick, convenient, and completely online. LoanUS.com works with lenders in all 50 states. You can get up to $35,000 as soon as the next day. Visit LoanUS.com now.
LoanUS.com connects you with lenders, but is not a lender or a broker and does not make lending or credit decisions. Loans may not be available for residents of some states. APR, loan term, loan amount, and other loan details may vary. See LoanUS.com for details.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG Libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 4th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.23 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,278 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $448. Antiwar.com reports, adding to the number of hospitals being hit in the fighting in Syria's Aleppo province, rebels fired a flurry of rockets and mortars against a government-held district, pounding Dabit Hospital and leaving at least 19 civilians killed across the neighborhood. This happened less than a week after apparent airstrikes by the Syrian military that hit a hospital in a rebel district, killing scores of civilians there. Tuesday's rocket fire hit the maternity wing of the hospital, with 3 women killed and 17 wounded in that wing of the hospital. This is at least the 5th hospital or medical site in the city hit in the past week as part of a series of tit-for-tat strikes over less than a 2-week period that have killed nearly 300 people, almost exclusively civilians, in Aleppo. As talks continue on trying to get the regime of calm extended to Aleppo, alongside the various other areas where it has been at least marginally successful, Aleppo itself continues to see heavy shelling. The Syrian government strongly criticized the rebels for attacking amid the talks, talks, but this just mirrors rebel complaints the day prior and so on as the two sides continue to trade fire. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports, citing various concerns, Georgia Governor Nathan Deal on Tuesday rejected a piece of legislation that would have made it legal for licensed persons to carry concealed firearms on campuses statewide. Lawmakers sent House Bill 859 to his desk in March, where the governor had 40 days to accept or reject it. Deal decided on the latter. The proposed law did have restrictions, but the governor said he felt it posed too great a danger because adult-age students aren't the only ones affected. Grade school and high school students, he said, also frequently visit campuses, and some include daycare centers. Dill wrote in a statement on Tuesday which outlined 15 vetoes of other legislation. If the intent of House Bill 859 is to increase safety of students on college campuses, it is highly questionable that such would be the result. In issuing the veto, Dill cited an 1824 case during the establishment of the University of Virginia in which officials decided to bar students from keeping or using weapons or arms of any kind. Former Presidents Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were part of that decision. Dill, who took some criticism for vetoing a religious freedom bill in March, signed a law in 2014 that expanded areas licensed gun carriers could go. However, he said a free campus carry law would go too far. Gun rights groups, though, have promised to revive the bill next year, calling it an important safety measure. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports FBI request for customer records under a secretive surveillance order increased by nearly 50% in 2015, according to a U.S. government transparency report published this week. Internet and telecommunications companies in 2015 received 48,642 requests, up from 33,024 requests in 2014 for data via so-called national security letters. The national security letter is a tool used by the FBI to gather phone numbers, email and IP addresses, web browsing history, and other information. A national security letter does not require a warrant and is usually accompanied by a gag order. The majority of national security letter requests made in 2015 sought information on foreigners, according to the Justice Department memo sent to Congress. A U.S. government source said the rise in request of national security letters is in part attributable to efforts by militant groups to use multiple accounts across several different communication platforms. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
An alarming UN report on magical realism released this week warns of increased incidences of women's tears flooding the entire world. A UN committee linked the catastrophic phenomena to matronly widows, commonly named Tita and Esmeralda, who wept for up to 90 days on end about their estranged lovers.
Just consider how detrimental it is to a nation's workforces to have thousands of its plantation overseers simply disappear one night into the midsummer fog, only to return decades later without having aged a single day. Put simply, if such phenomena are not immediately halted, the effects on the international community will be catastrophic.
The nation's limo drivers spent a magical prom night playing scratch-off tickets in the parking lot this week. According to sources, chauffeurs nationwide began their enchanting evening by cramming swank magazines into their glove compartments before dropping off their students at a school gym, working through a stunning assortment of lotto cards, and dining upon a wide range of microwave-heated taquitos from a nearby 7-Eleven.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio here, toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well, so don't forget you can Skype into the show. Skype username here is LRN.FM. Tonight with you, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And we talked about the little free libraries that are under attack in various different places in the first hour of the show. You're certainly still welcome to comment on that. And, Darryl, you're taking us back a little bit to a situation with some of the Satanists down in Mississippi. What's going on, and where's the story from?
So the story is from Vice, and it's actually a little older than I thought. I did not pay attention to the date line when I brought this in, but interesting story nonetheless. So in July of 2013, the Satanic Temple, after attempting to adopt a highway, performed a pink mass over the grave of Catherine Idolette Johnston, the mother of Westboro Baptist Church founder Fred Phelps Jr. Westboro has yet to officially comment on the eternal gaying of its leader's dead mother, but the owner of the cemetery where the ceremony took place filed charges with the local police department. The captain of the Meridian, Mississippi Police Department, Dean Harper, told local news station WTOK on, they say on Monday, but the Monday after this was, or the Monday before this was reported, that they were in the process of constructing affidavits and will have the Satanists arrested as soon as they can. Based on other stories that I was able to find, trying to figure out exactly what happened. If Lucian Greaves ever goes back to Mississippi, he will be arrested.
For what?
I'll tell you. But they've got the warrants, and he'll be arrested if he goes back to where the crime was committed.
The crime of performing a pink. What was it? A pink.
They call it a pink mass.
Pink mass,
where
as opposed to a black mass.
Right. So the pink mass is they do some ceremony at a grave, and they posthumously turn the person gay, supposedly. Police Captain Dean Harper from Meridian, Mississippi, said, "It's an unusual crime that we haven't come across to my knowledge in a while, LOL." Harper told the Huffington Post that the original charges of trespassing, malicious mischief, and indecent exposure, thanks to Lucian Greaves teabagging Catherine Johnston's grave, have been dropped because the judge refused to sign a warrant on them. In the end, Lucian Greaves has been charged with desecration of a grave.
By the Teabagging Act.
By performing the mass at the grave.
Okay.
Is the desecration, I guess.
I feel like in order to desecrate something, there has to be some kind of damage done to it, doesn't there?
One would think. The story here from Vice continues. It says, if this sort of case was thrown onto the desk of another small-town police department, one that, say, was located in a community with few serious crimes, it would be fine for the department to pursue what is essentially an exercise in the misuse of police time and energy. People, including police officers, get bored and need something to occupy their time. Meridian, unfortunately, is not one of those sleepy little towns. According to Neighborhood Scout, a website owned by a research and data mining company that collects crime statistics from around the country, Meridian is, and I'm paraphrasing here, sketchy as F. Based on a crime
dangerous
index.
Place.
Based on a crime index of 0 to 100. 100 being a crime-free utopia, 0 being the inside of one of Trevino Morales' vats of acid, Meridian, Mississippi gets a 4.
Wow.
By way of comparison, Brooklyn, New York gets a 40, and Detroit, which we've talked about a lot, gets a 2.
Wow. By the way, I guess I was wrong about desecration. It is to desecrate would be to divest of sacred or hallowed character or office, to divert from a sacred to a profane use or purpose, and to treat with sacrilege profane. So no, desecration doesn't necessarily mean damage being done. I guess that would be vandalism. Desecration could simply be the Teabagging Act or whatever it was.
Or just walking over and saying, "You're gay now.
Yeah.
You're gay now."
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Vermin Supreme glitter bombing a grave. Could be desecration of a grave.
Yep, it certainly could be. I would say, though, as far as desecration is concerned or turning people gay, because that's what Vermin was doing. He was a political candidate running for the Democratic nomination, the presidential primaries, and the last several presidential primaries. In one of the debates he was at, and I believe it was in New Hampshire.
It was in New Hampshire at St. Anselm's College.
He glitter bombed one of the other Randall Terry, another Democratic candidate. These are sort of like the minor candidates, and he talked about how he was turning him gay. And
yes.
It was very funny. In that case, it was actually, you could argue that he was using some sort of aggressive force by putting glitter on someone, at least. It could be argued that was an assault.
And St. Anselm's College told Vermin Supreme that he is not welcome back on their property.
That's right.
Even though he offered to pay the cleaning bill to get the herpes of craft supplies out of their carpet. They said,
is that what he calls it? The herpes of craft supplies?
That's not what he calls it.
That's what you call it?
I forget where I heard that from.
That's fun.
But I love the term because you can never get rid of it. Like, you think it's gone,
right,
and then it's not.
Yeah, and it gets on everything.
Yes. Gets on everything that it touches.
So in the case of the Satanists doing the pink mass around the grave of the Westboro Baptist Church's founder's mother,
yes,
then I would say it was even less offensive because they didn't really leave anything behind, it doesn't sound like. I mean, they took
photos.
Yeah. So proof of their so-called desecration.
And there's a photo in the Vice article here to where there's a couple of people that I can't tell if it's two men or a man and a woman with a sort of short haircut kissing, laying across the headstone, and then a third individual with some sort of headdress with a couple of horns coming out of the top, looking over them.
Like a Baphomet?
Not necessarily a Baphomet. Sort of, could be like goat horn sort of something, but they're coming out of the middle of the forehead, and he's got a hand on each of their necks as they're kissing. So, obviously a photo from the ceremony. The article continues. It says, one would think that a town with a population of around 41,000 and a crime index rating almost on par with a city that has become a byword for blight and criminal activity would take a pass on devoting time and resources to chasing a few out-of-towners who performed a harmless little satanic ceremony in a graveyard.
One would be wrong.
After all, the Satanic Temple and its members are based in New York. Meaning
there's a few different satanic temples from what I understand. But yes, I think the original group.
Right. And
Lucian Greaves.
Right. Lucian Greaves is based in New York, meaning, as the Huffington Post and the Gauntlet have mentioned, an arrest for charges filed in Mississippi is unlikely. Sure. Another statistic of interest concerning the Meridian Police Department is the number of officers they employ. If they were understaffed due to budget issues, their stratospheric crime rate might be understandable. However, as of 2011, the department had 109 full-time police officers.
That's a lot.
Or law enforcement employees, 98 of them officers.
Okay. All right.
Hate to go all stat nerd over here, but that comes out to 2.37 police officers per 1,000 people.
That's more than the national average, I believe.
The Mississippi average is 2 officers per 1,000. Why, then, was the violent crime rate in Meridian in 2010 higher than the Mississippi average by 89.29%?
Because officers of the law do not have anything to do with what kind of crime there is. In fact, sometimes the officers of the law, as we found recently here with some firemen, will actually stoke crimes, so they have something to do.
Yes.
The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. They recently arrested a fireman here in New Hampshire for lighting fires. So he would have something to do, I guess. Or maybe he just, it would make sense that a fireman would also possibly be obsessed with fire, right? Possible arsonist.
Fire.
Exactly. 855-450-FREE. Take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
Dentist office, may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to cancel my teeth whitening appointment.
Oh, may I ask why?
I found a teeth whitener that works in 5 minutes that I can do from home.
Can I ask what it is?
It's called Power Swabs, and it whitens your teeth in 5 minutes, doesn't leave my teeth feeling sensitive, and it's a lot less expensive than visiting the dentist.
Hi, I'm John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs, and if you want to whiten your teeth on average 2 shades in 5 minutes and 6 shades in 7 days, then try Power Swabs. There's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth and you're done. It removes stains on natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. Try Power Swabs risk-free. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387. I guarantee your friends and coworkers will be wowed by your new white smile. Try it risk-free and get free shipping and handling today. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is even at $1,287 per ounce. Silver is even at $17.46 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $446 US. Gold and silver had a slight pullback yesterday. Take advantage and buy on the dip. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us on the radio here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well at Skype username LRN.FM. So, Bernie Sanders has come to represent the new socialist movement in America. And it gives us an incredible opportunity to address his supporters in a rational, courteous, and dignified way. Fortunately for us, right now, we have Roger Ver on the side of freedom, and he's laid out an incredible challenge. Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of this year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose the objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour-long debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice. That's $50,000 apiece. Will Bernie say yes? Well, you can learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com. That's bernie.freetalklive.com.
Bet you never thought you'd be giving out that URL.
Nope, sure didn't. But it sounds very interesting. And Roger Ver is a man of his word, so I suspect that $100,000 worth of Bitcoin is a real offer, and hopefully Bernie will take it seriously.
No, I most certainly believe it's a real offer. I don't think Bernie will take him up on it.
I presume you were right about that. But then again, if he doesn't win the Democratic nomination, he may have a little bit more time on his hands.
True.
Let's go to Freddie calling from Florida. Freddie, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
What's on your mind tonight, Freddie?
I've been trying to get our story. I'm the father of the 7th angel from Kissimmee, Florida, that the DCF had removed our children unjustly about 2 years ago. And up to this day, we're still been trying to fight the system, trying to win our case, but they've been giving us all these runarounds. So I just got in a message that for me to call in my story. So
okay, so what's your story?
Well, it happened about 2 years ago. What happened was that we had moved here from South Carolina, and during the transition, when you move into a new town, you basically, it's hard to get started. So we were kind of homeless because I worked for a contractor here that stiffed us for 2 weeks' worth of work, caused us to be homeless, and DCF got involved because somebody had reported that we had 6 children at the time, and now they're claiming that my wife is not capable of raising these children, but when she raised them for nearly almost 9 years without any problem, now they came out and removed them. They said that they're not safe with her and the house is not safe. And so they came out here on July 9th of 2014 and took our children with the Sheriff Department, the whole Department of Sheriff Department, and looking for guns and drugs and dead bodies, which I don't know why they even searched for such thing unless DCF told them that we had guns and drugs.
Curious to know, did they have a warrant?
No, sir. They came barging in my house. The door was closed. They all barged in here, scaring the living daylights out of the children. And when they came and grabbed, what happened was me and my daughter just got back from the store. We didn't have a transportation, so we were on a bike, and they pulled us off the side. They came out, and the DCF caseworker says that we're here to remove your children because you did not want to accept any of our help. So I said, well,
thanks.
I didn't. What's that?
I said, gee, thanks for the offer of the help. Now they're going to steal your kids.
Well, the thing is, they said that we refused to accept their help. But in all due honesty, as God's my witness, they never gave us any. They never provided any services. The service that they were supposed to provide for us is to give our wife a lady to come here to help her, with the children. But instead, they brought the SWAT team in here and removed the children. And when they grabbed the baby from her, nearly dropped the baby on the ground. And he was only 10 months old.
Horrifying.
I was outside in the sidewalk, handcuffed on my knees. Why did they handcuff me? Because I spoke for my rights, and I told them, I said, look, I did not refuse any services. And then when I said that, the cop turned around and grabbed my hand and handcuffed me. And I said, now I'm being arrested? He said, no, you're not arrested. I said, then you need to remove this handcuff. He says, no, because we want to make sure we keep everything in peace. I said, you keep in peace? I said, I'm two houses away from my house. You won't let me go see my family. My wife tries to call me.
By definition, taking children at the point of a gun is not peaceful. And it's horrible what has happened to you, and it's not just you. There are countless stories of whatever the CPS, DCF, DCYF, they're all different names in different states, but so many different stories of people just being ravaged and their families being destroyed by these people. So your kids are still gone today, here 2 years later. Where are they now?
Yes, sir. They're scattered all over Kissimmee and St. Cloud and Sanford. If you know Florida, Sanford is about an hour away from here. Why is he all the way down an hour away from us? Is because he was with my daughter, but since they circumcised him without our consent, that's another thing. This kid has been hospitalized, surgerized, circumcised, you name it.
Jesus.
But these kids had never had a record when these children were under our care. My wife may have a disability, but she never let that thing stop her from caring and loving these children. But now they've never had a record of. We don't have a criminal record. We don't have no hospital records. But yet, since they removed them, my 3-year-old has had his head busted open.
At a foster home?
Kid, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And while they're in there, and now my oldest son that's in Sanford is in a critical condition because the foster parents has not been taking him to the medical attention he's been needing. So the doctor said, "Why have you not taken this kid to in the last 4 to 8 months?" She said, "Well, he didn't look like he needed that. He looked just fine to me."
Do you have an attorney?
What's that?
Do you have an attorney?
Yeah, we do. We finally just got one. We had a appointed attorney, which was just completely absurd because all he ever does is curse at me, and all he ever does is just basically never returns my phone call, my email. I have a support group that's been trying to get a hold of him and can't get a hold of him.
So you finally got another attorney to replace the one that was appointed?
Yes, this is a private attorney.
Well, what sort of redress do you have?
What do you mean by redress?
So is there a way you can appeal the decision by DCF to basically steal your children from you?
Well, right now we're basically, this coming Friday is where we filed a motion Monday that we have enough evidence in here because one of the reasons that they removed them is because they said that the kids were medical neglect.
And now they're being neglected. Thank you, Freddie. Good luck with your case. I'm sorry to hear about it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Maybe the at-home life wasn't the best it could have been, but putting kids in foster care usually results, in a lot of cases, in an even worse environment.
Yeah.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof. I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username here is LRN.FM. And there's a movement in healthcare today. People ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's folks like you who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement sweeping the nation, and you should be part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement and change healthcare for good. Go to joinlhs.com or call them toll-free at 800-722-8041. That's joinlhs.com or 800-722-8041. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio with you tonight. Of course, we'll take your calls about whatever you want. We just had an absolutely horrifying call from someone in Florida who, after moving there, had his family stolen from him, basically. All 6 or 7 kids taken by DCF, I believe they call the DCYF or whatever, Department of Children and Families in Florida. And then given to foster homes where they were then, in some of the foster homes, possibly abused, ended up in the hospital, apparently circumcised without any kind of consent from the parents, which is disturbing. I didn't know the state was doing that, but apparently that's happening. And so,
well, my understanding is they let the foster parents take over decision-making.
Disturbing. So I think it's sad that this just keeps happening to people. And, of course, if you don't have thousands of dollars to hire an attorney, which it didn't sound like they did at the time, they did say they finally had gotten a private attorney 2 years later after they lost their kids. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
How could you possibly? I mean, Darryl, you asked, is there some sort of appeals process? Sure. There's probably some sort of administrative appeal process. But if you don't know the ins and the outs of how the system is set up and what you need to file and with whom you need to file it and what the filing fee is and in what format the filing needs to happen and, and what kind of paper and in what, order, should it be stapled? Should it be 3-hole punched? I mean, they just get ridiculous.
Well, there's not always an appeals process.
Oh, okay.
Because there are times to where you have 30 days to appeal and, well, they had their children taken 2 years ago.
Time's up.
The time could have expired a long time ago.
Yeah.
Disturbing. So, there's not always an appeals process.
So if you know more about that, maybe you've been through this circumstance and you emerged on the other end with your kids again, would love to hear from you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And all of this can be brought on by a simple phone call from some busybody neighbor. So once again, here we are with the busybody neighbors not minding their own business. It was in the beginning of the show, we talked about the little free libraries that are being attacked by town governments and city governments across the United States, usually likely due to the complaint of some busybody neighbor who saw something they didn't like and decided to complain about it. And just because somebody's raising their kids in a way that you wouldn't do doesn't mean that it's wrong. There are different ways to raise kids, and I'm sure everybody who brings up kids gets it wrong somehow. Should you be punished by having your children taken from you by some government bureaucracy because of that?
I know I wasn't born with an instruction manual. I don't think anybody else was either.
It's very disturbing, and there's just no end to these stories. I don't know what will end this. I mean, if you advocate for closing down DCYF, then all of a sudden you're a monster who wants abusive families to be able to abuse their kids. So what do you do about that? What is someone who is a libertarian, someone who is an advocate, and Darryl, you are a presidential candidate.
Yes.
For the Libertarian Party. You're seeking the nomination of the Libertarian Party. And this is obviously more of a kind of a non-federal issue, but what is the libertarian response here? Because it seems like the libertarian position would be to abolish DCYF, but then that puts you in the position of having to say, well, what about all of the actual abusive families? I mean, it must be the case that every now and then DCYF actually takes some kids out of a dangerous and abusive home.
Right, but just because a government agency occasionally gets something right does not justify the existence of the agency being funded through theft and coercion, doing things that are essentially theft and coercion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is one of the things that always irritates me, to where people want libertarians to come up with perfect solutions for everything when the status quo is not a perfect solution to anything.
Well, certainly we've seen plenty of stories about people having their kids taken and then put into abusive foster homes, whether it's physically abusive, sexually abusive. We've heard stories of kids being kept in cages in these foster homes. Very disturbing stuff. Obviously, those things are all bad. But, if you're a libertarian advocating ending DCYF, aren't you throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak?
No, it's no more throwing the baby out with the bathwater than it is putting the baby into boiling bathwater, which is basically what DCYF does, to where they wind up putting children in worse homes than they take the children from.
Sometimes. Maybe sometimes they do the reverse, though. They sometimes might actually take some kids from an actual abusive, terrible household and put them into, foster parents who actually care about them. That can happen, right?
That can happen.
You don't hear about those stories.
Right, and things would be a lot more efficient if it were being completely run through voluntary charities, to where somebody, if they knew they could not take care of their child, went to a charity and says, I can't take care of my child, please find a family. That would be a lot more efficient than the way it is right now, to where people don't say, I'm not able to take care of my child. They go and some government agency says, well, just fill out this form and we'll give you more of this and we'll pay for this. And here's all of these things that we'll help you with. And, just have another kid and then you'll get more money next month. And so, you've got this system that basically perpetuates bad parenting while simultaneously taking children from good parents who may just be in a bad situation.
All right, so I see what you're saying, though, about parents who, given the opportunity to sort of hand their kids over, hey, look, you're having a tough time, right? You can't make ends meet. There are these folks over here who are willing to take your kids. They're good people. They've got money. They'll take care of them. That would work, I'm sure, for some people. But there are also the kinds of parents who don't think they're doing anything wrong with their kids, or that they, maybe they're into physical abuse or whatever it is that they're into. Then what do you do? Because then it's not necessarily a voluntary solution that we're talking about, right? Like, somebody's going to want to save those kids from that abusive household.
Right. And I think absent government being involved, you would have concerned neighbors step forward to actually protect the children instead of, well, I called, this government hotline and I reported something. I did my part. You would actually have concerned neighbors either go talk to the parents or do some sort of Harriet Tubman sort of thing and run an underground railroad to get abused children out of abusive homes.
So if you were to do that, which I don't oppose that idea. I just wanted to see if you would put it forward. If you were to ferret a child away from their abusive home, let's call it kidnap, what happens?
I would prefer to use the term
rescue.
And
I guess it would just depend on whether you could prove your case. Right. I mean, if you just take somebody's kid and you don't have any actual evidence of them, beating
then you've committed a crime.
Right. And so you should be held responsible for those actions. And I guess that it would get it would turn into a messy situation. But I think you're right, Darryl, that there would be groups of people who would be willing to take the risk of possibly facing some sort of
And I
sanction.
would say it would be a less messy situation than what we have right now.
I think you're right about that, where innocent people are being attacked and having their kids taken.
And nobody would be forced to pay for any of it.
Well, apparently there's, in the news today, the AP is reporting on a safe haven baby box where mothers can just drop off their unwanted newborns. So that's a possible solution, I guess. 855-450-FREE. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
This is it. For the first time ever on this station, U.S. government gold offered at cost for only $139 each. With Wall Street suffering its worst start to a trading year in history, now is especially the time to be paying attention to gold. This first time ever, U.S. legal tender government gold offered at cost for only $139 each is from the U.S. Money Reserve. Call them at 1-866-944-GOLD. Gold is on the move, so don't miss out. For the first time ever on this station, U.S. government gold offered at cost for only $139 each. 1-866-944-GOLD or online at usmoneyreserve.com. Ask for a free 55-page gold buyer's book. Plus, get a free Walking Liberty $50 just for reading this must-have book. Get your free gold book, your free $50, but most importantly, get your gold at cost for only $139 per coin. 1-866-944-GOLD.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. We got some crazy Venezuela news happening. It's just Venezuela's just been fascinating to watch as a socialist country finally reaches the bottom of the drain. And things are just getting worse and worse as the weeks go by in a seemingly accelerating manner. We reported earlier this week on how it was that Venezuela can now not even afford to buy their own money. And what that means is Venezuela doesn't have a central bank with a printing press. They have a central bank, but they don't have the ability to print their own money, so they use private companies.
They've got a subcontract.
Yep. There's a few of them, actually. De La Rue is one of them, and there's a few others. And so they've been using these private companies to print the bolivar, but the problem is the bolivar is, of course, not worth anything. It's, you can get 1,000 bolivar for more than 1,000 bolivar for $1 on the black market, whereas the government's official price for the exchange rate is 10 to 1, meaning $1 is supposedly worth 10 bolivar, but the black market says differently. And so the companies that will print the bolivar, of course, are not going to take bolivar to print the bolivar. They want to take money that they can actually spend somewhere. So they want U.S. dollars or something that's of value to print more bolivar.
And one of the companies is owed $71 million.
Right, and you can't blame that company for saying, well, I don't think we're going to keep doing business with you until you pay off your debts there, Venezuela. So they can't afford to buy more money, and it's that's an indicator that things are getting towards the bitter, nasty end for this country.
Right, and something else that was pointed out is Venezuela is unique in that they're the only country to date that's gone into hyperinflation that has not increased the denomination of their currency.
Right.
Meaning all of the other
zeros.
countries. So like the Weimar Republic, Zimbabwe are the most notable examples to where they just kept adding zeros. So after a time, the smallest bill was no longer the $1 bill or the 1 mark bill. It was the million mark or 100 million mark, or in the case of Zimbabwe, the $100 trillion trillion bill.
Which, of course, doesn't do anything but kick the can down the road just barely.
Right.
Ultimately. I mean, people aren't stupid. They know that this is not $1 million worth of money. This is a hyperinflated currency.
People aren't stupid, but in Venezuela, for example, the largest bill that they print is a 100 bolivar bill that buys a loose cigarette from a sidewalk vendor.
Yeah. Well, there's more, though, from the madness of Venezuela. This story coming from CNBC, and it's fresh as of today. The situation in Venezuela has become so bad that even the soldiers are now struggling to support themselves. And normally when countries are going bad like this, the people that work for the government are to some extent insulated from the economic downfall. They don't get hit as hard as the rest of the people in the country because they're closer to the source of the money. They're closer to the central bank or whatever. They're going to get a paycheck more likely than, say, the De La Rue is going to get the $70 million that they want out of the Venezuelan government. But it's not so great there for the government workers, specifically the military. Over the weekend, 6 members of the Venezuelan military were detained by local authorities for stealing goats. According to the Venezuelan newspaper El Nacional on Sunday, they said the soldiers confessed to stealing the goats and said they did it to feed themselves since they have no food left in their barracks. Jason Marzak, director of the Latin America Economic Growth Initiative at the Atlantic Council, had this to say: it's, quote, not a good sign when your military doesn't have enough food and when the military has been relegated to guarding and protecting food lines. This is endemic of the problems going on across the country. And then they go on to talk more about Venezuela's economic situation with food shortages, an insane inflation rate, and the, of course, collapse of the price of oil, which certainly hasn't helped them. There's really not much else in the story about the soldiers stealing goats, but it gives you a look into how desperate even the people who work for the Venezuelan government are right now.
Right. And, as you mentioned, Venezuela is, this, I don't want to use the term beautiful, but it's a beautiful example of how poorly socialism works. Whereas we can look at something that's closer to a free market to see how that works. And I've got a story about one aspect of the free market in Washington State that is now working wonderfully.
Okay.
And again, it's not an actual free market because it is something that's taxed and regulated. But over the last 2 years, RT reports that the price of legal cannabis has plunged in Washington State. Recreational cannabis use has been legal in Washington for 2 years now.
Yep.
And while sales have been filling public coffers with tax revenue, the price has been shrinking considerably.
Excellent.
As of March of this year, the price of legal cannabis in Washington was $9.32 per gram, citing data from the state's Liquor and Cannabis Board. The wholesale price, $2.99 per gram.
And this is like top shelf cannabis. I mean, this is not cheapy pot. This is like the best kind of quality.
By comparison, in September 2014, which was just a couple of months after legal or taxed and regulated sales began in Washington, cannabis was selling for $25 per gram. It's now under $10 per gram. The
that's a huge difference.
The price had dropped by nearly 50% by August of last year when it was $11 per gram.
So is it more competition? Are there more growers, more stores? What is leading to this? It must be competition, right?
They say although prices initially went up after the substance was legalized, i.e. taxed and regulated, the surge was linked to increased demand and limited supply, according to Steve Davenport of the Pardee Rand Graduate School, who helped aggregate data from the Washington Cannabis Board. Since then, prices have been coming down at a rate of 2% per month.
Sweet.
And they could potentially shrink 25% every year. Professor Jonathan Calkins of Carnegie Mellon University.
Well, it's got to have a point at which it'll stop, but
it does. He said it's just a plant. Calkins works with Davenport, told the newspaper. He said the drug could become so inexpensive that certain types are essentially given away for free. He said there will always be the marijuana equivalent of organically grown specialty crops sold at premium prices to yuppies. But at the same time, no-frills generic forms could become so cheap they are given away as a loss leader, the way bar patrons are given beer nuts and hotels leave chocolates on your pillow.
That'd be awesome.
The news out of Washington State has also been echoed in Colorado, another state where cannabis has been taxed and regulated. In June of last year, an eighth of an ounce, about 3.6 grams, cost between $30 and $45, notably less than the $50 to $75 it was 1 year prior.
Yep. And $50 to $75 is basically black market prices. And that's what one of the disappointments was when we first saw the cannabis be legalized in these places was you looked at the receipts from these stores and it was like, why would I even want to go into the store? I can just go to the black market dealer and have it delivered or whatever for the same price. So it's good to see that competition is bringing prices down.
As prices trend downward, there could be positive and negative consequences for the state. Since cannabis is taxed by sale, falling prices mean each sale results in fewer dollars for the state government. However, cheaper cannabis could end up pushing more people to abandon the black market and stick with purchasing legalized cannabis. Fewer drugs being moved onto the black market could mean fewer costs for law enforcement. Even with cannabis prices clearly dipping last year, though, new businesses continued to crop up.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that prices are falling and people are still entering the business is confusing to me, said Tracy Selson, an economics lecturer at the University of Washington's Foster School of Business.
Look, I'm no economist, but what that says to me is that the prices haven't fallen as much as they could, that the people in business are still seeing an opportunity. It seems very simple to me. It doesn't seem confusing at all. People that are looking to go into business have obviously run the numbers and said, you know what? We can get into this business and either grow or sell the cannabis, and we can do it for less, and then we'll get customers. So I think that's really exciting news, and we'll continue here. You can join us at 855-450-FREE. Maybe you're in Colorado or Washington State or the other states that have recently legalized it, which include, I believe, Oregon and Alaska. 855-450-FREE. If you want to weigh in, you can join us here. Hour number 3 is on the way. This is Free Talk Live.
Could you use up to $35,000? No need to shop around for loans anymore. LoanUS.com is a convenient online way to connect with a lender based on your unique background and provide you a loan of up to $35,000. And LoanUS.com works with lenders in all 50 states. Use the loan to pay for emergency expenses, medical bills, debt consolidation, home improvement, large purchases, and even taxes.
LoanUS.com connects you with lenders but is not a lender or a broker and does not make lending or credit decisions. Loans may not be available for residents of some states. APR, loan term, loan amount, and other loan details may vary. See LoanUS.com for details.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 4th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.23 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,278 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $448. Antiwar.com reports, adding to the number of hospitals being hit in the fighting in Syria's Aleppo province, rebels fired a flurry of rockets and mortars against a government-held district, pounding Dabit Hospital and leaving at least 19 civilians killed across the neighborhood. This happened less than a week after apparent airstrikes by the Syrian military that hit a hospital in a rebel district, killing scores of civilians there. Tuesday's rocket fire hit the maternity wing of the hospital, with 3 women killed and 17 wounded in that wing of the hospital. This is at least the 5th hospital or medical site in the city hit in the past week as part of a series of tit-for-tat strikes over less than a 2-week period that have killed nearly 300 people, almost exclusively civilians, in Aleppo. As talks continue on trying to get the regime of calm extended to Aleppo, alongside the various other areas where it has been at least marginally successful, Aleppo itself continues to see heavy shelling. The Syrian government strongly criticized the rebels for attacking amid the talks, but this just mirrors rebel complaints the day prior, and so on, as the two sides continue to trade fire. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports, citing various concerns, Georgia Governor Nathan Deal on Tuesday rejected a piece of legislation that would have made it legal for licensed persons to carry concealed firearms on campuses statewide. Lawmakers sent House Bill 859 to his desk in March, where the governor had 40 days to accept or reject it. Deal decided on the latter. The proposed law did have restrictions, but the governor said he felt it posed too great a danger because adult-age students aren't the only ones affected. Grade school and high school students, he said, also frequently visit campuses, and some include daycare centers. Dill wrote in a statement on Tuesday which outlined 15 vetoes of other legislation. If the intent of House Bill 859 is to increase safety of students on college campuses, it is highly questionable that such would be the result. In issuing the veto, Dill cited an 1824 case during the establishment of the University of Virginia in which officials decided to bar students from keeping or using weapons or arms of any kind. Former Presidents Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were part of that decision. Dill, who took some criticism for vetoing a religious freedom bill in March, signed a law in 2014 that expanded areas licensed gun carriers could go. However, he said a free campus carry law would go too far. Gun rights groups, though, have promised to revive the bill next year, calling it an important safety measure. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports FBI request for customer records under a secretive surveillance order increased by nearly 50% in 2015, according to a U.S. government transparency report published this week. Internet and telecommunications companies in 2015 received 48,642 requests, up from 33,024 requests in 2014 for data via so-called national security letters. The national security letter is a tool used by the FBI to gather phone numbers, email and IP addresses, web browser browsing history, and other information. A national security letter does not require a warrant and is usually accompanied by a gag order. The majority of national security letter requests made in 2015 sought information on foreigners, according to the Justice Department memo sent to Congress. A U.S. government source said the rise in request of national security letters is in part attributable to efforts by militant groups to use multiple accounts across several different communication platforms. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
With each successive bite failing to relieve his anxieties, increasingly worried man Dylan Hawks told reporters today that he has yet to come across any trace of guacamole in his burrito, despite having specifically requested it when ordering.
No, there definitely wasn't any guac there. Cheese, beans, chorizo. Oh man, I hope they didn't forget.
Hawks has continued to maintain hope that there may still be an undiscovered sliver of avocado somewhere in his tortilla. However, with his fears for the meal mounting, Hawks has reportedly considered asking the cashier for a refund at various points while eating the burrito.
The thing is, if you had a burrito and it was missing cheese, you might not notice it because there's sour cream, but guacamole is completely different. I just don't know how I wouldn't have tasted it by now. Christ. I'm almost done with this thing.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free, and join us on the radio waves here. Toll free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. Darryl is in the studio with me, Ian. And Darryl, you're telling us an interesting story, which we're going to continue in a moment, about the price of cannabis dropping pretty seriously in Colorado and Washington State, dropping by it was $25 a gram back when it first was legalized.
In September of 2014, which was just a couple of months after it became taxed and regulated, $25 per gram. March of this year, so just 2 months ago, $9.32 per gram. Retail. Right. The wholesale price is $2.99 per gram.
Let's go to Randy. He's in Southern California, listening online to the LRN.FM app. Hey, Randy.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm actually just calling. I thought I was listening to phone was dead, so I listened to the local talk radio down here. Not a national one. LA has a lot of national kind of talk radio, but it was just a local one for the county I live in. And he was talking about Trump for a while, and everybody's groaning and moaning, Trump or Hillary. Then it was funny. He said, and they were going to have Austin Peterson was going to be on to talk to him, which I thought was interesting. It's a pretty right-leaning talk news station, and he started talking about third party and the Libertarian candidates and how people who don't want Trump or don't want Hillary are starting to lean towards the Libertarian Party, which I thought was good. I'm not a fan of Austin Peterson. I think Darryl would be a much better representative. But I thought it was very interesting that local hardcore right-wing radio station down here who 9 months ago would never have even brought up really the Libertarian Party is now having Libertarian presidential candidate talk on a very big pretty big station down here.
Well, he did send out an email today.
Who did? Austin Peterson?
Yes. He said, now that Ted Cruz has dropped out of the race, Donald Trump has a clear path to the Republican nomination, and we have a unique once-in-a-generation opportunity to make a profound impact. Where is it?
We libertarians, he means?
Right. He
really
mentions somewhere in here about how he has great admiration for Ted Cruz and conservatives and libertarians need to join together.
No.
And basically he's promoting himself as this sort of conservative libertarian sort of guy.
Well, that's sort of what he is, right? He's not really a libertarian. He doesn't believe in the non-aggression principle. He believes that apparently the Libertarian Party should get rid of the non-aggression principle, which basically says that you don't support or initiate don't support the initiation of force to achieve political or social goals. He wants to get rid of that statement that every Libertarian Party member has to sign.
So here's the quote. He says, "We have the opportunity to unite conservatives and libertarians against the authoritarian candidates offered by the major parties. We need to put aside our differences for the moment and realize whether we're libertarians, Tea Party, fiscal conservatives, or constitutionalists, there are enormous threats to liberty knocking on our door." And I would agree that there are enormous threats to liberty knocking on our door, but trying to convince conservatives that they're libertarians is not the way that you repel those threats. Because a lot of those threats are coming from conservatives just as they're coming from progressives.
Randy, what do you think about all this? I mean, do you think there's a chance the Libertarian Party is going to have a banner year this year, or is it just going to be, yet another bunch of hot air that's not going to result in anything, where these people are talking about, oh, yeah, we want to do something besides vote for Trump, but then when the chips come down, they will vote for Trump because they don't want Hillary.
They fear Hillary more than they support whatever they claim to support.
Or vice versa. People voting for Hillary because even though they hate her, because she's not Trump, as opposed to actually, let's say, going with the Libertarian Party. And by the way, Austin Peterson is full of it. There are plenty of people in the Libertarian Party who've come from the left. He makes it sound like the Libertarians can only team up with conservatives, and it's ridiculous. In fact, I would say there's a good chunk of the Libertarian Party which came from the left. What percentage?
Based on surveys that I've seen, it seems to be about equal, the number that came from the quote-unquote right, the number that came from the quote-unquote left, and the people that were either self-identified independents or apolitical.
Or non-party affiliated, those kind of folks. So what do you think, Randy?
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys are making good points. That's what I was going to say is I thought, Austin Peterson I don't really view him as a libertarian. He almost seems more like the Tea Partier that decided to run as libertarian, and somehow they let him in and he's gaining all this ground. I thought it was good that at least brought up a third party. I think more people are leaning that way. But I think it's just, people are just upset and they're going to say, oh, I'm a libertarian, but they're going to be, these conservatives, like people like to say you're a fiscal conservative but a social democrat, but they don't go with the whole, they still want war, they still want the border closed, and they're not real libertarians. I think any publicity is good publicity in the sense that at least they're promoting the Libertarian Party. Maybe some people will go to the websites and view and go, oh, wow, for a real libertarian, say, and see what it really goes on. But Austin Peterson, I just don't view him as a real libertarian looking through at him. And I think you guys are right. I think there's a lot of people who are just going to say they're libertarian. I have people at work who go, well, I'm a libertarian. And they go, well, we do need a wall, and we do need to go over to Iraq. And I'm like, well, what the hell are you talking about? I think people they don't want Trump. They don't want Hillary. So they go, well, I'm a libertarian for the next 6 months. And then secretly they'll vote for either or. They'll tell everybody, oh, I voted for whoever. But
I would be amazed if the Libertarian Party can crack 1.5% this year. I guess consider me skeptical about all this. I just don't think that any of this hubbub about Hillary versus Trump is going to hold water when it actually comes down for people casting a ballot. They're going to go with what their party is. They're going to hold their nose, and they're going to stick with their party. They're not going to go green. They're not going to go libertarian. They're not going to go Constitution Party.
There's one thing that could possibly change that, and that is if somebody other than the Republican and Democrat is allowed in the major debates.
Well, that's not going to happen unless they can pull, 15% or something.
Got to pull 15%, which means you have to be included in the polls because it's really difficult to wind up polling 15% when you're not listed as an option.
Right.
They did. There was a recent poll by Monmouth University that did include Gary Johnson.
Okay.
And he polled 11%. Now, whether or not Gary or whomever the Libertarian nominee is after the convention at the end of the month continues to be included in these polls is yet to be seen. Whether or not they include the Green Party nominee that's chosen in August in any of these polls is yet to be seen. They might wind up including them, and then, the people that are just saying somebody not Trump, not Hillary, that winds up splitting, and then neither, alternative winds up getting over 15%.
Yeah.
Or if somebody does get over 15, the Commission on Presidential Debates could change the rule and say 20.
They certainly could. Randy, thanks for calling and sharing the story here tonight. I think it's not a bad thing having it be Hillary versus Trump, because there will be people who find the Libertarian Party because of that.
Right.
There will be people who find the ideas of liberty and really kind of start that path of coming to the ideas, as all of us have at some point in our lives, all of us who host the show, Free Talk Live, and many of our callers as well. So I don't doubt that there will be new libertarians by the time this election season is over. Whether that'll amount to another percentage point in the actual vote, let's say I'm pretty skeptical about that. I wish I could be enthusiastic and ebullient and believing that this is the time, because wasn't it in 2012 and 2008 with the Ron Paul campaign? It was supposedly the libertarian moment.
Right.
Well, I mean, nothing personal against you, Darryl, but you and John McAfee and whoever else it might be that gets the nomination are likely not going to get the attention that Ron Paul got by the mainstream media.
Right, because we're not Republicans.
Yep. 855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
Dentist office, may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to cancel my teeth whitening appointment.
Oh, may I ask why?
I found a teeth whitener that works in 5 minutes that I can do from home.
Can I ask what it is?
It's called Power Swabs, and it whitens your teeth in 5 minutes, doesn't leave my teeth feeling sensitive, and it's a lot less expensive than visiting the dentist.
Hi, I'm John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs, and if you want to whiten your teeth on average 2 shades in 5 minutes and 6 shades in 7 days, then try Power Swabs. There's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth and you're done. It removes stains on natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. Try Power Swabs risk-free. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387. I guarantee your friends and coworkers will be wowed by your new white smile. Try it risk-free and get free shipping and handling today. Dial 1-800-665-0387. That's 1-800-665-0387.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio here, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. And you can take control of the airwaves, as we like to say, with you in studio tonight. Ian here.
And Darryl.
And Darryl W. Perry running for president. As we mentioned moments ago, you can go to DarrylWPerry.com to see the latest. What is the latest? Darryl, you going to be speaking somewhere this weekend?
Going down to Rhode Island. I'll be on a local radio show that broadcast in, I believe, either Bristol or Providence, the Coalition. And then after that show, there's going to be a meet and greet hosted by some libertarians in Rhode Island. And then next week is going to be a busy travel week for me. There's a debate happening on May 12th. The details have not yet been released by the network hosting that debate.
Can you reveal the network that is hosting the debate?
I would not be comfortable doing that since they have not released their details yet.
This is going to be a recorded debate and then played back later?
My understanding is it's going to broadcast live to about 700 million households around the world.
Okay.
And then
that's exciting.
Next Saturday, I will be in Michigan for the Michigan State Convention. They're having a debate at their banquet dinner.
Don't drink the water.
It's not in Flint. And then, or at least I don't think it's in Flint. And then next Sunday, the 15th, I will be in Maine.
All right.
So those are the two of the final conventions
before
the national happening Memorial Day weekend.
Now, are there other libertarian parties around the country that have their conventions after the national convention?
Well, there's some states that have their yearly convention in the fall.
Okay.
So technically any convention happening this fall would be after the national convention, but it would not be in any way, reflective on what is going to happen.
So Vermin Supreme has entered the race. Is that an official thing? Do you think he's going to be at the Orlando Libertarian National Convention?
I don't know. He was in New York.
I love it. Did you get a picture with him?
There were several people that took pictures. I did shake his hand, and there's a couple pictures of me and him in the same photo, yes.
Okay, cool. So DarrylWPerry.com, go check out more about Darryl there. As Darryl, you were going to tell us more on the story about the cannabis dropping precipitously in price in Washington and Colorado.
Yes, and Tracy Seslin, an economics lecturer at the University of Washington's Foster School of Business, said the fact that prices are falling and people are still entering the business is confusing to me. Standard theories of economics would only suggest entry into an industry when people see that it's profitable.
Just because prices are falling doesn't mean it's not profitable.
Right. And I believe this is RT. Yeah, RT is reporting here. Perhaps one reason that people keep trying to enter the cannabis business is that novelty aside, it's simply becoming easier to do so. Over the last 2 years, the number of banks and credit unions willing to do business with cannabis shops has increased substantially from 51 in March of 2014 to now over 300.
Okay, that's good news.
Although federal law still prohibits banks from handling cash derived from the cannabis trade, the Treasury Department has stated that it will not go after banks if they are certain that the businesses are complying with state regulations.
Interesting. Well, that's great news.
Yes.
Because that was something that was holding a lot of people back.
Right. And
you're getting cash in all day long, and then you can't take it somewhere to put it away safely. That's pretty risky.
Right. And I'm glad you did mention that they're bringing in cash all day long, because you can't use a credit card at a cannabis shop.
Because the credit card companies have blackballed them?
Right, because of the federal regulations,
Gotcha.
They're scared to do it.
Yeah.
I was in Colorado a couple of months ago.
That's right. You went to one of those shops.
And I went to one of the shops, and I don't think
What
I
was it
ever
called?
actually... Teleflora,
Okay.
I think was the name of the one that I went to. I don't think I ever spoke about it on the air,
Well, let's
what
talk
it was
about that.
like.
I think that'd be fascinating.
So it was a fairly large
What
room.
city? Denver?
Was in Denver.
Okay.
And I was told that it was laid out like an Apple iStore, but I've never been to an Apple store before.
Before you go on, was it in like a strip mall? What was the surroundings? Like kind of
Yeah, it was
industrial?
a strip mall.
Okay.
And so when you go in, you had to show ID because you've got to be over the age of 21 to enter. And Jay Noon, who's a friend of the show, was with me and a couple others. And he was actually denied entry because he does not have a government-issued ID.
All right.
So he was not allowed in. Me and the other couple of friends were allowed in. And so it's like a big open space with display cases set up, just, a couple of display cases set up, and the customer service center in the middle of the room.
Okay.
And there's product hanging on the walls on display shelves.
Are they selling pipes too, or just cannabis?
Pipes, cannabis, edibles,
food, right?
Drinks. They had cannabis drinks.
Yep.
Basically, you think of it, they had it.
Awesome.
Tinctures, various sorts of things.
Candies, cookies. Sure.
Yeah, and so I'm walking around, and I notice a couple of products that I saw that I was interested in, and so then I asked my friend, I was like, so what do I do here? And she was like, well, I think you find an associate and tell them what you want, but I'm not really sure. And so then I walked over to the guy that checked my ID, and I was like, so how do I actually order something?
Mm-hmm.
And
because everything's locked up.
Everything's locked up.
Okay.
So he hands me this little device that looks like a PDA sort of thing. The personal...
PDA? Personal data assistant?
Yeah.
Pager?
No, the personal data thing.
So it was like what we had before smartphones? Like the Palm Pilot or whatever?
Yeah, something that looked like that.
Okay.
And he was like, you push this, and there's a little button at the bottom. He says you push this, and then the thing scans the barcode.
Uh-huh.
And then you type in however many of the product you want.
And you take it back to them.
And then whenever you are done putting your order into the machine, into your little device here, take it to the service desk.
Yeah.
And they'll ring you up and they'll give you your product.
Neat.
And so I got a couple of gummies, a couple of brownies, got a 3-pack of brownies for $10. I got 2 gummies at $5 a piece.
Gummy worms?
Gummy candies.
Bears? Okay.
Just little small gummy.
Yep.
I think they were fruit shaped.
Okay.
Or, like little orange wedge shaped sort of things.
Yep.
And then I got a cannabis drink. Was a 16-ounce drink that was $9. And each of the items that I got was 10 milligrams of cannabis. So each brownie was 10 milligrams.
THC.
Right.
Okay.
10 milligrams of THC. And so after paying, and I think my total was $37.50, including the theft known as tax.
The tax.
And after I went outside, because I know it's illegal to consume in public, the first thing I did was opened up my drink and took a swig. Yeah.
Civil disobedience. Nice. We'll continue. If there's more to the story, we'll find out. 855-450-FREE.
There's not.
855-450-3733. But you had to eat it all before you left Colorado, right?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
It's Free Talk Live.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Purchase a ProPure system during the Crazy May sale and get a free ProMax shower filter or water filter pitcher. Remove up to 200 contaminants with the Pro 1G 2.0 truly cleanable, reusable filter. We don't stretch our claims. We just deliver performance. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Talk Live.
So we had a guy call in on Saturday, and he was really kind of befuddled as to why anyone would alter their consciousness at all. Like, he had done a little bit of drinking when he was younger, but he's an older guy, and he just really couldn't get it. And I imagine it's really kind of difficult for somebody who doesn't get it. It's really easy to look down your nose at that point. I imagine it's really difficult for people like that to understand, but the fact is that if you're not altering your consciousness as a being on this planet, you're probably in the minority.
Or at some point in your life. Because some people, they kind of get out of it when they get older for whatever reason. They just get tired of it, or they've had enough of that experience.
By definition, caffeine is a drug.
Sure it is.
Absolutely. It's a consciousness-altering drug.
Wait until you give me a can of Diet Coke. I will flip out right here.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is even at $1,287 per ounce. Silver is even at $17.46 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $446 US. Gold and silver had a slight pullback yesterday. Take advantage and buy on the dip. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you can go this way? You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this hospital.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in here toll free. Join us. Bring up what's on your mind. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, so Skype on in at username LRN.FM. To the phones, to the fun in a moment, but also I want to let you know that you, as a free, beautiful, independent human being with inalienable rights, own yourself. You can do what you want with your own body and the product of your labor. All human interactions should be free of force and coercion, and we are free to exercise our rights, limited only by respect for the rights of others. Governments rely on force, and force is a poor substitute for persuasion. When you learned don't hit, don't steal, and don't kill, it wasn't unless you work for the government. Governments frighten us into thinking we need them, but we're moving past the statist paradigm and rendering them obsolete. The Wisdom Within Freedom by Adam Kokesh will empower you to be more happy, free, and prosperous while putting you in a position to help shape our destiny. Find Freedom by Adam Kokesh in Dead Tree format on Amazon and available online for free at thefreedomline.com/freedom. That's thefreedomline.com/freedom for Freedom by Adam Kokesh. Let's go to the phones, to the fun. We got Dave. He's in New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Darryl.
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey, Dave.
I wanted to update you at least a little bit regarding the status of the John Cannell death, the Free Stater who died.
John Cannell. Let's talk about who he was before we talk about how he died. Who was John Cannell?
He was just a liberty activist, a lot like me in many ways. He was one of my students. He learned how to shoot, kind of the way I shoot, or at least the way I was shooting at the time.
Shoot video, that is. You are a professional videographer.
Right.
You're Dave Ridley from
that's right.
RidleyReport.com.
It sounds a lot like we're talking about firearms.
And there are a lot of firearms people, a lot of gun people that are here in New Hampshire, and so it wouldn't, it's easy to get confused on that point. Now, didn't John actually move here before you, Dave? I mean, you were one of the earliest movers, but John Cannell, I think, was one of the earliest of all the movers to New Hampshire for the Free State Project.
I think so. I think he was here before me, but maybe a year before me or 6 months or something like that. He must have moved around 2003. But anyway, he started a church in Grafton, which is probably the town with the highest concentration of Free Staters. And of course, many Free Staters have been starting sort of liberty churches. It's becoming almost a trend. It is a trend. And he had sort of a dispute with the town of Grafton as to whether his church would be taxed or not. And then I guess it must have been March. No, it couldn't have been March. It was either late February either late January or early February. There was a still mysterious fire, and then there's a body found in the church, and it's him. So
now, Dave,
and we still don't have.
Hold on, Dave. I want to touch on something here where you mentioned briefly that there was a dispute between John and the town of Grafton over whether or not the church would be tax exempt. John Cannell actually bought a church building that had been a church for hundreds of years in Grafton.
Yeah, it's important to point that out, where it's a church with a steeple. It looks like a church.
It had been tax exempt for a long time. There was something that happened, and then the building went onto the tax rolls as taxable property.
And he was actually operating it as a church, having services every Sunday, and was open at other times during the week. And they denied him that tax exemption and denied it over and over again. And so he was really frustrated with that, and there was this sort of legal situation that had developed. But go ahead, Dave, with your story.
So anyway, the update is that we still don't have, and there's no, if there's been any kind of government report about what happened of all the investigating that they did, that still hasn't come out.
There was supposed to be a fire marshal's report about what actually occurred, or what has supposedly occurred there, because there's a big mystery around this fire. You've got a situation where it was just going to be a matter of days after the fire happened, where the city was, or the town of Grafton was supposed to take possession physically of the property, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure about that. But anyway, the only thing I have to report that has happened that's new is just that his daughter posted a message on nhfree.com, and she says, quote, "It is possible the truth may never be known or take a heck of a long time to find out. There's a grieving soul waiting for 3+ months for toxicology report for her dad, not to mention pending determination from fire marshal," unquote. So there's at least what we have that's closest to the family.
I believe there was something. I'll see if I can pull up my story, because I wrote about it at freekeen.com when this went down, and it was mid-January when this actually happened. According to the story, at least as far back as 2011, the government in Grafton continued to deny John's church a tax exemption, despite the fact the Peaceful Assembly Church is an actual church building and that regular services were held there. Though he faced ongoing frustration with the town government, John never soured personally. He remained steadfast and of peace. I guess I didn't put it in this particular story that they were planning on taking the property. I believe that I saw that somewhere, but for whatever reason, it didn't make it into the story. I believe that they were expected to finalize whatever tax sale was going to happen to the property because it hadn't paid taxes since something like 2011, and so they hadn't yet actually pulled the trigger on the tax sale, but they were expecting to, which led people to speculate that maybe this was a suicide rather than an accident.
Anything's possible, and a finding of some sort would at least point us in some direction. Even if it comes from the government, at least it tells us what the government's view is. And it just seems so strange to go this long without the information being released. In addition, there were other problems. He wasn't just having a dispute with the town. He was in a dispute with people who he had tried to, sell it to or give control of it to, or something along those lines. There was a board of some kind, and so that was, who knows what role that played in the situation. I don't know the details, but he wasn't just in the dispute with the town.
Well, Dave, thanks for keeping an eye on things. Of course, you do a great job over at RidleyReport.com of kind of keeping the politicians, holding them accountable, ambushing them with your camera, of course, not anything.
Ambush interviewing them.
Yes, ambush interviewing.
But when something like that, when one of our guys dies, there's supposed to be an outcry, and it seems like there should be more of an outcry than there is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Well, I wrote about it, so I'm on board with you. Thanks, Dave, for your call here tonight. We just need more people. We need more movers. We need more people who care about liberty to pick up and make the move here to New Hampshire, whether it's part of the Free State Project or not. Thanks, Dave, for the call. As whether it's part of the Free State Project or not, because some people are upset about the Free State Project, basically getting rid of me from their events a few weeks ago, as well as some of the other decisions the board of directors has made in the last few years. So there's some people that don't like the Free State Project as an organization, but I don't think that should mean that you shouldn't come to New Hampshire. Just because there's a group of people calling themselves the board of directors of this organization that encourages people to move to New Hampshire that did things that you don't like doesn't mean that there aren't hundreds of people here who you would get along with just fine.
Right.
There are thousands of people who are pledged to move to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, and not all of them get along. We've got about 2,000 of them here right now, as far as I understand it. Some of them don't get along well at all, but that's what happens when you put 1,000 people together or 2,000 people together. Some of them are going to have disagreements that they just can't resolve. And while I think that's sad, it's just human nature.
Right, and then there's also the fair weather activist, if you will, and I don't even know if that would be the right term, but the people that are saying, I'll move to New Hampshire once you guys do X. Well, no, that sort of goes against the whole point of it's a project. We're supposed to work on this together.
Right, and having more people will help make things happen faster.
Yes.
So if you are willing to do that, then I would recommend you check out the Free State Project, or if you're looking for an alternative, there's the Shire Society at shiresociety.com, which also encourages libertarians and voluntarists and freedom lovers to pick up and move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Could you use up to $35,000? Whether it's for home improvement, car repairs, paying off taxes, debt consolidation, emergency funds, or any other reason, LoanUS.com can match you with a lender that can offer up to $35,000. Quick, convenient, and completely online. LoanUS.com works with lenders in all 50 states. You can get up to $35,000 as soon as the next day. Visit LoanUS.com now.
LoanUS.com connects you with lenders, but is not a lender or a broker and does not make lending or credit decisions. Loans may not be available for residents of some states. APR, loan term, loan amount, and other loan details may vary. See LoanUS.com for details.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Moments remain, but we have enough time for you if you want to join us here on the radio waves. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. That's 855-450-3733. By the way, Mother's Day coming up fast, and that means your time to order Sherry's Berries is going to be running out if you want to get them delivered by Mother's Day, which you can do with Sherry's Berries. In fact, you pick the delivery date you want. It's guaranteed. Customer satisfaction is also always guaranteed, or your money back. How can you go wrong with freshly dipped strawberries in milk, white, and dark chocolatey goodness, topped with rich chocolate chips, chopped nuts, and signature swizzles? They're huge, fresh, juicy, delicious strawberries, and they start at just $19.99. Plus shipping. Use code FTL when you go to berries.com and click the microphone in the top right corner. That helps us when you do that. It lets Sherry's Berries know that you came from Free Talk Live. We appreciate that. So go to Berries, BERRIES.com. Get your mom a gift as unique as she is. Mother's Day is coming up this weekend, so don't miss out on this opportunity to get her something awesome. So go to berries.com, and don't forget, you can double the berries in your order for just $10 more. So you can't beat this gift. It's super delicious, and it's memorable. Go to berries.com, BERRIES.com. Click the microphone in the top right-hand corner. Type in code FTL and place your order for your mom. As we continue here, Venezuela. I got more Venezuela news, Darryl. Now, talk about bad economic choices. Venezuela is now hiking their minimum wage 30% amid the economic crisis.
This after they cut the work week down to 2 days?
Well, that cut was only for government workers, from what I understand.
Okay.
So government workers have a 2-day work week. Everybody else can work, how they want.
And they now get a 30% pay raise.
Yeah, which isn't going to do a damn thing as far as helping them in any way, shape, or form. But at the very least, it'll look good for President Nicolas Maduro.
It'll look good for the people that actually keep their jobs. In reality, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to wind up getting laid off.
That's true, because that does tend to happen when minimum wages increase. How much employment there is in Venezuela to begin with, I don't know.
We know that there's not a lot of food on the shelves in the grocery stores.
Nope.
And, I don't know if there's ever been a situation where a country in hyperinflation has ever increased their minimum wage. So there might not be anything to really go on as far as, yep, this is what happens when you do this in a hyperinflation economy.
Venezuela's president is ordering a 30% increase, that's from the AP, in the minimum wage, a latest move by the socialist government to grapple with high inflation and economic stagnation. Let's clarify something. This isn't grappling with those things. It's just making the situation worse. The boost announced Saturday night by Nicolas Maduro, the president, comes after a 25% increase on March 1st. So the people of Venezuela have had 2 minimum wage increases within the last 3 months. March 1st, up 25%. Now, up another 30%. According to the story here, the new increase is effective as of Sunday, this past Sunday, which is International Labor Day, and will push the minimum wage to $15,051 bolivars per month, which is about $1,500 if you use the official exchange rate, but only at around $50 at the current black market rate, which largely sets the prices for goods in Venezuela. Their oil export-dependent economy shrank 5.7% last year. Shortages of basic goods multiplied and prices soared. The government has instituted rolling blackouts, and state employees are working only 2 days a week, supposedly to conserve electricity. But that's not all. Now, according to Jeff Berwick over at the Dollar Vigilante, apparently they are now changing time itself in Venezuela in another desperate attempt to try to stave off the inevitable complete and utter failure of the state. They are, Venezuela, as all socialist countries collapse, as they always do, is interesting to watch what they do near the end. It's the latest, and its activities have gotten more bizarre by the day. A few weeks ago, as we reported, the Central Bank of Venezuela blamed hyperinflation on a website. As we told you about that here on Free Talk Live, the website dollartoday.com cites the black market rate for the bolivar, which is, last time I looked, about 1,100 bolivar per U.S. dollar. And the Central Bank of Venezuela is claiming that that website is the cause of the hyperinflation. It's not the government's policies that are the cause. It's dollartoday.com. They also began flying in plane loads of Venezuelan bolivars. That's back when they could afford to buy the bolivars. Now they can't even afford to buy more of them, which is a huge problem. Yep, he says, I'm not kidding. Flying in money in cargo planes to cure hyperinflation. One-ups helicopter Ben Bernanke. Then it becomes too expensive to print the Venezuelan bolivars. It costs more to print pictures of dead criminals on pieces of paper than the paper cost itself. They've tried rolling electricity blackouts to save money and food rationing. Then, as the economy completely ground to a halt, the government announced the rise in the minimum wage by 30% this weekend, as though that would help. And now, in the latest move, the Venezuelan government said it's going to change time itself. At 2:30 in the morning on Sunday, the Venezuelan government decreed that time had moved forward by 30 minutes to 3 a.m. in an effort to save money. Huh? I don't get it. I got to say, I don't understand how anyone could even make the claim that money will be saved. I know this is the idea behind daylight savings time or whatever.
That annoys me so much. It's not plural.
Daylight saving time?
Daylight saving time.
Okay.
I prefer to call it daylight shifting because you're not saving a damned thing.
Right.
You're shifting the clock.
Yeah, as though that's somehow going to prevent people from turning on an air conditioner, or, as though it's going to make the day less hours or fewer hours, the amount of sunlight in the day. I mean, it's just absolutely insane.
Right, and there have actually been studies recently that show that based on this 24-hour sort of society that we live in now, that shifting stuff doesn't actually save anything.
Nothing.
There's actually more electricity that winds up getting used in the summer because, well, it's staying daylight a little bit longer and people are still getting off work at whatever time, so they come home and turn on the AC to cool down the house.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything at all to save anything, but it does make politicians act like they can literally change time. You can't make this up, says Berwick. They should just move the time forward 2 years to a time when this whole system collapses and people can begin rebuilding from the rubble of socialism.
Or let's turn the clocks back to 1990, whatever it was, and then not elect Hugo Chavez.
Sadly, this comedy is a tragedy for millions of Venezuelans who live under a criminal socialist regime that has now entered into near starvation levels as the country and its currency have completely collapsed. And as we reported earlier in the show, you now have Venezuelan troops, soldiers, stealing goats and slaughtering them and eating them because they have no food remaining in their barracks. So once the military stops being paid, once the military is no longer able to eat at the whim of the politicians, not Hugo Chavez, but his successor, Nicolas Maduro, once Maduro can't pay the soldiers anymore and isn't feeding the soldiers, how far are we from a military coup in Venezuela, where the military guys who are starving decide they've had enough of this, and they'll just go ahead and toss Maduro from office, shove him out on wherever they need to shove him out to, and he'll probably end up retiring on some sort of golden parachute of some sort in another country, as tends to happen with these things. They're probably not going to execute him. But what do you think? I mean, is that the point at which the military is going to turn against the Venezuelan government? Because they're not getting fed, apparently.
Yeah, it's probably going to wind up being something similar to what happened in Egypt, to where the people start revolting and then the military comes out to support the people.
Supposedly support the people. I mean, to establish their own dominance in the country.
Right. Well, they were, quote unquote, supporting the people in getting rid of
the bad guy.
And then they said, okay, now we're in charge.
So they put some other bad guy in charge. How's that worked out for Egypt?
It's something that I followed a good bit when it was happening. I've not really followed it too closely since, although some of the show trials that they've had I've paid attention to. So I'm not really sure. I don't think it's turned out that good, but it certainly hasn't been as bad as it could have been.
There's also an excellent video that Jeff Berwick and Luke Radowski made of We Are Change, where they kind of show you the experience of going to Caracas, Venezuela. Pretty neat stuff. I'll link to the story over on our Facebook and Twitter, and you can check it out at your leisure. And we'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Cop Block Radio is up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, May 4th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.23 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,278 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $448. Antiwar.com reports, adding to the number of hospitals being hit in the fighting in Syria's Aleppo province, rebels fired a flurry of rockets and mortars against a government-held district, pounding Dabit Hospital and leaving at least 19 civilians killed across the neighborhood. This happened less than a week after apparent airstrikes by the Syrian military that hit a hospital in a rebel district, killing scores of civilians there. Tuesday's rocket fire hit the maternity wing of the hospital, with 3 women killed and 17 wounded in that wing of the hospital. This is at least the 5th hospital or medical site in the city hit in the past week as part of a series of tit-for-tat strikes over less than a 2-week period that have killed nearly 300 people, almost exclusively civilians, in Aleppo. As talks continue on trying to get the regime of calm extended to Aleppo, alongside the various other areas where it has been at least marginally successful, Aleppo itself continues to see heavy shelling. The Syrian government strongly criticized the rebels for attacking amid the talks, but this just mirrors rebel complaints the day prior, and so on, as the two sides continue to trade fire. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports, citing various concerns, Georgia Governor Nathan Deal on Tuesday rejected a piece of legislation that would have made it legal for licensed persons to carry concealed firearms on campuses statewide. Lawmakers sent House Bill 859 to his desk in March, where the governor had 40 days to accept or reject it. Deal decided on the latter. The proposed law did have restrictions, but the governor said he felt it posed too great a danger because adult-age students aren't the only ones affected. Grade school and high school students, he said, also frequently visit campuses, and some include daycare centers. Dill wrote in a statement on Tuesday which outlined 15 vetoes of other legislation. If the intent of House Bill 859 is to increase safety of students on college campuses, it is highly questionable that such would be the result. In issuing the veto, Dill cited an 1824 case during the establishment of the University of Virginia in